British breakfast cereal aisles are full of products that wouldn't be legal in most developed countries. I'm talking about colours banned in Scandinavia, preservatives restricted across the EU, and additives that require health warnings in Europe but not in Britain. In the next few minutes, I'll expose 7 UK breakfast cereals that contain ingredients banned or restricted in other developed countries, explaining exactly what these additives are and why other nations won't allow them in children's food. If you stick to the end, I'll show you 3 cereal brands that meet international standards for clean ingredients and a DIY test to help you identify problematic additives yourself so you can protect your family from what Britain's weak regulations still allow. Let's compare what British kids eat to what's allowed elsewhere. Number 7. Kellogg's Frosties. Kellogg's Frosties are one of Britain's most popular children's cereals, marketed with Tony the Tiger for over 70 years. The bright packaging, cartoon mascot, and their great slogan are instantly recognisable. British kids have been eating Frosties for breakfast for generations. The sugar content alone is concerning. 37 grams per 100 grams means the cereal is over 1/3 pure sugar. That's higher than many biscuits and sweets. A typical 40-gram serving contains nearly 15 grams of sugar, which is half a child's recommended daily limit before they've even left for school. But it's the additives that make Frosties problematic by international standards. The ingredients include BHT, which is butylated hydroxytoluene, a synthetic antioxidant used to preserve the cereal and prevent the fats from going rancid. BHT is banned in infant food across the EU, and Japan has restricted its use in all food products due to concerns about potential carcinogenic effects. The UK allows BHT in breakfast cereals marketed to children with no restrictions. Studies have linked BHT to liver damage in animal testing, and it's been flagged as a potential endocrine disruptor. Most of the EU has moved away from using it in favour of safer natural preservatives like vitamin E. Britain hasn't. You know how Frosties have that slightly chemical smell when you open the box? Like there's an artificial edge underneath the sugar. That's partly the BHT and other preservatives. Real cornflakes made without synthetic preservatives smell like toasted corn. Frosties smell like sugar and chemicals because that's what they are. The reformulated version sold in Germany uses different preservatives to comply with stricter EU standards. British kids get the original formula with BHT because UK regulations allow it. Same brand, different standards, worse ingredients for British children. Frosties hide BHT behind the sugar. This next brand adds potential carcinogens to the chocolate. Number 6. Kellogg's Cocoa Pops. Kellogg's Cocoa Pops have been marketed to British children since the 1960s with cartoon monkey mascots and chocolate flavouring. The cereal turns milk brown, which kids love, and it's positioned as a fun breakfast that makes mornings exciting. Millions of boxes are sold annually. The sugar content is 35 grams per 100 grams, making it 1/3 sugar. But the real issue is the artificial colours used to create the chocolate brown appearance. The ingredients list includes colour caramel, which sounds natural but is actually a specific type called caramel 3 or ammonia caramel. Ammonia caramel contains 4-methylamidazole, a chemical byproduct formed during the manufacturing process. California requires warning labels on products containing significant amounts of 4-MEI because it's been classified as a possible carcinogen. The EU has set limits on how much 4-MEI can be present in caramel colouring. The UK has no such restrictions. British Cocoa Pops can contain higher levels of ammonia caramel than would be allowed in California or than EU guidelines recommend. Same cereal, different markets, different safety standards. British children get the version with potentially higher levels of concerning chemicals. Studies on 4-MEI in animal testing showed increased cancer rates, particularly thyroid and liver cancers. The levels in food are much lower than those studies used. But the question is, why allow any avoidable carcinogen in children's breakfast when safer alternatives exist? Natural cocoa powder could create the brown colour without ammonia caramel. Kellogg's uses the cheaper chemical version. You know how Cocoa Pops have that distinctively artificial chocolate taste that's nothing like real chocolate? Well, that's because it's flavored with minimal cocoa powder and lots of flavoring compounds. The brown color isn't from chocolate, it's from ammonia caramel containing a potential carcinogen. Ammonia caramel in chocolate cereal is concerning. This next brand uses colors that require warnings across Europe. At least Cookie Crisp doesn't pretend to be healthy. This next brand markets chocolate bar flavors as acceptable breakfast. Number 5. Nestle Cookie Crisp. Nestle Cookie Crisp is a cereal shaped like tiny chocolate chip cookies, marketed directly to children as eating cookies for breakfast. The packaging features bright colors and cartoon wolves, and the entire concept is designed to make kids think breakfast can taste like dessert. British supermarkets stock it prominently in the children's cereal section. The sugar content is 35 grams per 100 grams, but it's the artificial colors that make this problematic by international standards. The ingredients include color caramel and potentially other artificial colors depending on the variety. More concerning is that the chocolate chips contain colors and flavors that would require warning labels in the EU. Under EU regulations, any food containing certain artificial colors including sunset yellow, quinoline yellow, carmazine, allura red, tartrazine, and Ponceau 4R must carry a warning, may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. This warning is mandatory across the EU, based on studies linking these colours to hyperactivity and behavioural problems in children. Britain was part of the EU when these regulations were introduced, but since Brexit, the UK has been relaxing food standards. Products that would require warnings in Europe don't need them here. Cookie Crisp, marketed to British children, doesn't carry warnings that would be mandatory across the channel. You know how some kids seem to go hyperactive after eating certain cereals, like they're bouncing off walls and can't sit still or concentrate? That's not just the sugar. Studies show artificial colors can genuinely affect behavior and attention in some children. Other countries require warnings. Britain doesn't. Mechanically separated chicken is disturbing enough. What this next brand does to children's breakfast is somehow even worse. If you're still watching, you've probably got at least 2 of these problematic cereals in your kitchen right now. That's not your fault. Britain's weak food standards allow multinational corporations to sell children products that wouldn't be legal in stricter countries. The brands coming up next have already been banned or restricted in several countries based on health concerns. But Britain hasn't followed because our regulations prioritize corporate interests over children's health. If someone in your life is still feeding their kids Frosties or Cocoa Pops, thinking all cereal is basically the same, send this their way. One ingredient check could change what ends up in their shopping trolley and what their children eat for breakfast. Number 4. Kellogg's Crave. Kellogg's Crave are chocolate-filled cereal pillow marketed heavily to children and teenagers. The cereal pieces are hollow squares filled with chocolate or chocolate hazelnut cream, positioned as an indulgent breakfast that tastes like a treat. The packaging is bold and modern, designed to appeal to older children who think they've outgrown cartoon mascots. The sugar content is 34 grams per 100 grams. That makes Crave over 1/3 pure sugar, comparable to chocolate bars and biscuits. A typical 40-gram serving contains nearly 14 grams of sugar, which is more than half a child's recommended daily sugar intake before they've even left for school. But it's the combination of ingredients that makes Crave problematic by international standards. The chocolate filling contains palm oil, sugar, fat-reduced cocoa powder, and emulsifiers. The cereal shell contains wheat flour, sugar, glucose syrup, vegetable oils, and multiple additives, including colors and preservatives. The product also contains BHT as a preservative, the same synthetic antioxidant that's banned in infant food across the EU and restricted in Japan. British children and teenagers eating Crave for breakfast are consuming preservatives that other countries have deemed too risky for young people. You know how Crave cereal has that odd waxy texture in the chocolate filling? Like it doesn't melt smoothly like real chocolate but feels artificial and coated? That's the palm oil and emulsifiers creating a chocolate-like filling without using quality chocolate. Real chocolate melts at body temperature and has a smooth mouthfeel from cocoa butter. This filling is engineered to be shelf-stable and cheap, not delicious. The concept itself is problematic. Marketing chocolate-filled cereal as breakfast normalizes eating dessert first thing in the morning. It's training children and teenagers to expect sweet, indulgent flavors at breakfast instead of nutritious, whole foods. Norway's proposed restrictions on marketing high-sugar cereals to children would target products exactly like Crave. Sweden's sugar recommendations would classify this as unacceptable for regular breakfast consumption. Chile's strict food labeling laws would require Crave to carry a black high in sugar warning label and would prohibit marketing it to children under the current packaging. The 34% sugar content far exceeds Chile's limits for unrestricted marketing. Britain allows it to be marketed freely to children and teenagers with no warnings whatsoever. The reformulated versions sold in some European markets use different preservatives to comply with stricter regulations. British consumers get the original formula with BHT and potentially higher levels of concerning caramel colouring because UK standards allow it. Same brand, different markets, inferior ingredients for British children. Honey Smacks is half sugar. This next brand adds petroleum-derived colours linked to hyperactivity. Number 3. Kellogg's Froot Loops. Kellogg's Froot Loops are aggressively coloured cereal loops marketed to children with cartoon toucan mascots. Each loop is a different bright colour: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. The visual appeal to children is obvious and intentional. The cereal is designed to look fun and exciting. The artificial colours are where Froot Loops become illegal in most countries. The ingredients include colours including Allura Red, Tartrazine, Sunset Yellow, Brilliant Blue and others depending on the market. These are synthetic azo dyes derived from petroleum. Froot Loops sold in Britain still use artificial petroleum-derived colours. No warning label required despite the exact same scientific evidence that led to EU warnings. Same brand, same manufacturer, different formulation. British children get the artificial version. European children get natural colours. Norway goes further and actually bans certain artificial colours in food marketed to children. Froot Loops, as sold in the UK, would be illegal in Norway. Sweden has strong recommendations against artificial colours in children's food. Denmark has similar guidelines. Britain has no such protections. You know those bright radioactive-looking colours in Froot Loops that look nothing like any natural food? Like they're so vivid they almost glow? That's petroleum-derived synthetic dyes linked to hyperactivity in children. European kids get natural fruit and vegetable colours, creating the same rainbow effect. British kids get the chemicals because UK regulations allow it. The sugar content is 33 grams per 100 grams, so the cereal is 1/3 sugar. Combined with artificial colours linked to behavioural problems, you're giving children a breakfast designed to spike blood sugar and potentially affect their ability to focus and behave. Other countries protect kids from this. Britain doesn't. Artificial colours are bad enough. This next cereal uses preservatives classified as possible carcinogens. Number 2. Kellogg's Honey Smacks. Kellogg's Honey Smacks, previously called Sugar Smacks until that name became too embarrassing, a puffed wheat cereal coated in honey-flavoured sugar. The cereal is marketed with a cartoon frog mascot and positioned as a sweet breakfast that kids will actually eat. The golden colour and sweet smell are immediately appealing. The sugar content is an absolutely shocking 50.3 grams per 100 grams. That makes Honey Smacks over 50% pure sugar. More than half the cereal is sugar. A typical 30-gram serving contains more than 15 grams of sugar, which exceeds half a child's recommended daily sugar intake for one small bowl of cereal. This makes Honey Smacks the highest sugar mainstream cereal sold in UK supermarkets. It's literally more than half sugar, and it's marketed directly to children and sold with no warnings, no age restrictions, positioned at child eye level in the cereal aisle. Norway's proposed ban on marketing cereals with more than 15 grams of sugar per 100 grams to children would make Honey Smacks completely illegal to advertise to kids. It's more than 3 times the proposed limit. Sweden's sugar recommendations for children's cereals would classify this as unacceptable. Canada's food guide specifically warns against high sugar cereals like this. Chile has some of the world's strictest food labelling laws. Any cereal with over 15 grams of sugar per 100 grams must carry a black warning label stating high in sugar and cannot use cartoon characters or be marketed to children. Honey Smacks couldn't be sold in Chile as currently packaged and marketed. The 50% sugar content would require prominent warnings, and the frog mascot would be illegal. Britain allows all of it. 50% sugar, cartoon mascot. It is marketed directly to children and positioned as an acceptable breakfast despite being more sugary than cereal. You know how Honey Smacks stick to your teeth and leave a sweet coating in your mouth for hours? That's 50% sugar dissolving in your saliva and coating every surface in your mouth. Dentists hate this cereal because it's creating perfect conditions for tooth decay whilst being marketed as a daily breakfast. The honey flavouring isn't from honey. It's from sugar and artificial honey flavouring because using actual honey would be too expensive and wouldn't create the intense sweetness they want. You're eating sugar flavour to taste like honey, coated on puffed wheat and marketed to children as breakfast. At least pot noodle doesn't pretend to be healthy. This next brand could just be the worst cereal sold in Britain. Number 1. Nestle Lion Cereal. And at number 1, the cereal that would be illegal in most countries, Nestle Lion Cereal. Lion Cereal is a chocolate and caramel flavoured cereal based on the Lion chocolate bar. It's marketed with the Lion Bar branding, positioned as a chocolatey breakfast that tastes like having a treat bar in the morning. The packaging is bold and appealing, designed to make kids associate breakfast with chocolate bars. The sugar content is 30 grams per 100 grams, so the cereal is 30% sugar. But it's the combination of artificial colours, synthetic preservatives and questionable ingredients that make this the most internationally problematic cereal we tested. The artificial chocolate and caramel flavouring comes from chemical compounds, not actual chocolate or caramel. Minimal cocoa powder is used, with the majority of flavour coming from synthetic flavouring designed to mimic the Lion Bar taste. The colour comes from caramel colouring containing 4-MEI, the potential carcinogen we discussed earlier. You know how Lion cereal tastes distinctly artificial, like it's trying to taste like a Lion Bar but not quite getting there? That's the synthetic flavouring doing its best to recreate the complex chocolate bar taste using cheap compounds. Real chocolate has hundreds of flavour compounds. This has synthetic versions of the most prominent ones. Under Chilean regulations, Lion cereal couldn't use the Lion Bar branding or imagery because the sugar content would require warning labels and prohibit cartoon or brand character marketing to children. Under proposed Norwegian standards, it couldn't be marketed to children at all. Under EU regulations, it would require warnings about the artificial colours affecting attention and behaviour. Britain requires none of this. Lion cereal can be marketed directly to children with chocolate bar branding containing 30% sugar, artificial colours linked to hyperactivity, and preservatives classified as possible carcinogens, all perfectly legal in UK supermarkets. This represents everything wrong with Britain's weak food standards. We allow multinational corporations to sell children's products that stricter countries have banned, restricted, or require warnings about. We're letting companies profit from selling kids breakfast that would be illegal elsewhere. After 8 cereals that prove Britain's food standards are dangerously weak, here's the good news. 3 UK cereal brands meet international standards for clean ingredients. Number 1. Rude Health. Rude Health is a British cereal company making minimally processed cereals with ingredients you can actually recognise. Their ultimate almond cereal contains toasted oat flakes, almond butter, honey, and coconut chips. 4 ingredients. All of them are actual food. No synthetic preservatives, no artificial colours, no petroleum-derived additives. The ingredients would be legal and acceptable in Norway, Sweden, across the EU, Canada, and anywhere with strict food standards, because they're just food: oats, almonds, honey and coconut. The sugar content is 12 grams per 100 grams from honey, not refined sugar or artificial sweeteners. The texture and taste are completely different from ultra-processed cereals. Rude Health is crunchy and substantial because it's made from whole ingredients that haven't been pulverized and reformed. The flavor is rich and nutty because it comes from actual almonds and oats, not synthetic flavoring compounds designed to trigger specific taste receptors. You know how Rude Health cereal actually tastes like the ingredients listed on the box? Like, you can taste the almonds and the honey and the coconut. That's what happens when food is made from real ingredients instead of engineered compounds. The flavors are complex and natural because they come from actual nuts and grains. Available in Waitrose, Sainsbury's, Planet Organic and independent health food shops. Costs around £4.50 for a medium box compared to £2.50 for Frosties. You're paying more for actual almonds and quality oats instead of refined corn coated in sugar and preserved with BHT. The ingredient cost alone is higher because real food costs more than chemicals. This would be sold without any restrictions in every country we examined. No warning labels needed, no reformulation required, no questionable additives, just oats, almonds, honey and coconut made into cereal the way cereal should be made. Number 2. Lizzy's Granola. Lizzy's is a British granola brand founded by Lizzy Venn, making granola from whole grain oats, nuts, seeds, and either honey or fruit for sweetness. The low-sugar original contains oats, almonds, hazelnuts, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, rapeseed oil, and honey. 7 ingredients. All recognizable food. No BHT or BHA preservatives, no artificial colors, no petroleum-derived additives, no synthetic flavoring compounds. The sugar content is 5 grams per 100 grams of honey, making it one of the lowest sugar cereals available. This would meet the strictest proposed standards in Norway, Sweden, or anywhere else. The protein and fiber content comes from real ingredients, not added wheat gluten and synthetic fiber like many processed cereals use. The nuts and seeds provide healthy fats and protein that keep you satisfied for hours. The oats are whole grain with all their natural fiber intact, not refined and processed, then fortified with synthetic vitamins. You know how Lizzy's granola keeps you full until lunch, whilst Frosties or Cocoa Pops leave you hungry within an hour? That's the difference between real nutrition and empty calories. Lizzy's contains protein, fiber, and healthy fats from whole ingredients. Processed cereals are refined carbohydrates and sugar that spike blood glucose, then crash. Available in all major supermarkets, including Tesco, Sainsbury's, and Waitrose. Costs around £4 for 400 grams. More expensive per gram than Kellogg's, but you're meant to eat smaller portions because it's more nutritionally dense. A 40-gram serving of Lizzy's satisfies hunger better than 60 grams of processed cereal because it contains actual nutrition. This meets every international standard we examined. No reformulation needed for EU regulations. No warnings required, no restricted ingredients, just oats, nuts, seeds and honey made into granola that would be considered a healthy breakfast anywhere in the world. The Black Farmer proves meat products don't need 40 ingredients. This next brand shows that cereal doesn't need chemistry either. Number 3. Alara Organic. Alara is a British organic cereal company making muesli and granola from organic whole grains, dried fruit, nuts and seeds. Their original muesli contains organic oat flakes, organic wheat flakes, organic raisins, organic dates, organic sunflower seeds, organic hazelnuts and organic almonds. 7 ingredients. All organic, all whole foods. The organic certification means no synthetic pesticides, no GMO ingredients, and no artificial additives. The whole grain oats and wheat are minimally processed, maintaining their natural fiber and nutrients. The sweetness comes entirely from dried fruit, not added sugar or artificial sweeteners. The sugar content is 13 grams per 100 grams, all naturally occurring in the fruit. No preservatives needed because whole grains and dried fruit are naturally shelf stable. No artificial colors because the ingredients provide natural color. No synthetic flavoring because oats, wheat, nuts and fruit have their own flavors. This is what cereal looked like before industrial food processing. You know how Alara muesli looks irregular and rustic, nothing like the uniform pieces in processed cereals. You can see whole oat flakes, actual raisins and recognizable hazelnuts. That's because it's just ingredients mixed together, not ingredients processed into something else. Real muesli is fundamentally just whole foods combined, not engineered products shaped and colored. Available in Waitrose, Planet Organic, independent health food shops and online. Costs around £3.50 for 500 grams. Comparable to premium Kellogg's products, but you're getting certified organic whole grains, real nuts and actual dried fruit instead of refined grains preserved with BHT and coloured with artificial dyes. You've seen the brands to avoid and the brands worth buying. Here's exactly how to identify cereals with ingredients that wouldn't meet international standards. Walk down any cereal aisle and you're confronted with dozens of colourful boxes making health claims and nutrition promises. Here's how to identify which ones contain ingredients other countries have banned or restricted. First check. Look at the colours. If the cereal has bright, vivid colours that look unnatural, radioactive yellows, electric blues, intense reds, it contains artificial petroleum-derived dyes. Natural colours from fruits and vegetables are softer and more muted. If it looks like it glows, it's artificially coloured. In the UK, look for these colour names in the ingredients: tartrazine, quinoline yellow, sunset yellow, carmoisine, ponceau 4R, and allura red. These specific colours require warning labels in the EU about effects on children's attention and behaviour. They don't require warnings in Britain, but they're the same problematic colours. If you see these listed, that cereal would require warnings in Europe. Second check, scan for BHT and BHA. These appear in the ingredients as antioxidant, or specifically BHT or BHA. They're synthetic preservatives banned or restricted in many countries. If the cereal contains either, it's using preservatives that other nations won't allow in children's food. Natural alternatives like vitamin E or rosemary extract are safer options that responsible manufacturers use. Third check, count the sugar content. Look at the nutrition panel. Anything over 15 grams of sugar per 100 grams is high and would exceed the proposed Norwegian limits for children's cereals. Over 20 grams is excessive. Over 30 grams is basically candy. Compare different cereals side by side and choose options under 15 grams if possible, ideally under 10 grams. Fourth check. Compare UK products to EU versions. If you can access European supermarkets or websites, compare the same cereal sold in Britain versus the EU. Many products have been reformulated for European markets to avoid warning labels. The ingredient differences show you what's problematic in the UK version. Final check. Use elimination. If the cereal contains artificial colours, BHT or BHA preservatives, vague flavourings, over 20 grams of sugar per 100 grams, and is marketed to children with cartoons, it definitely contains ingredients restricted or banned in other countries. Every single one of those factors is a red flag. So what do you think? Are you shocked that cereals you've eaten for years contain ingredients banned in other countries? Did you realise Britain's food standards are weaker than most of Europe's? Drop a comment below because I want to know which cereal surprised you most.